Welcome back to another episode of the Bench Mob ENT podcast, the best sports podcast in New Jersey. I'm Tone, your host, your moderator, joined by one of my fellow co-hosts, Miles. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's March, so let the madness begin.
As he alluded to, we're gonna be touching on March Madness. We of course gonna talk some NBA. We're gonna talk some NFL. Jalen Milroe, he just had a crazy 4 for a 40 time. So you know how that go. This is the time of year. You got March Madness. It's not just basketball. You get some of these pro day results and these combine results, and jokers that weren't supposed to even be drafted sometimes get drafted. That's the time that we are in. It is madness for March. But before we get into that in the show, we need y'all to do one thing for us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe, share, and tell everybody. We trying to be here for a good time and a long time. So, in order for that to actually happen, we need you to do those things. Subscribe, like, share, comment, rate us 5 stars. Hopping straight into it now. March Madness is here. Looking at the men's side, who are your final four predictions?
Some of my final four predictions, because of course it's March, everybody does a bracket. It's like gambling without putting money down. So, you know how that goes. Um, I got St. John's, Michigan State, Duke, and Houston. I think Duke, the key for them is Cooper Flag healthy. Because if he can get back to maybe like 85, 90%, I mean, you're putting the best player in the college game back on this team that's one of the best teams in the country. So I think they're good enough to win the first couple games, make it to the Sweet 16, but they're going to need them once they get a little deeper in the tournament. Houston, I mean, Houston's always up here. Uh, Defensively, they're one of, if not the best defensive team in the country. St. John's, they got Rick Pitino. I mean, what more you have to say? Like, he's going to get the most out of his guys. And then Michigan State with Tom Izzo, kind of the same thing, where they got a really good team. They've had some shaky losses in the last month, but like he usually gets them to step up their game and play when it's March. So
You mentioned Duke, you mentioned St. John's. Start off with Duke. Is this the best Duke team in the last decade?
hmm, that's a tough one because they've had some solid teams like the Zion RJ team was really good. They just it's tough being led by a bunch of freshmen. Um, what other teams? Jason Tatum's team was pretty good in the last decade. I mean, you got to say from the way they started off until now, like they've gotten better, and this group is well rounded now. You've got some of the big men; they've developed their game a little bit. I know their starting center; he's developed a little bit of a jump shot. Cooper Flag does a little bit of everything. You've got some veterans on this team too, a couple guards that have been here before. So they're definitely well rounded, and um, I mean it's wide open this year. Like college basketball, I don't know if it's ever been as wide open as it is now. Like I feel like anybody within the top 20 has a chance to make a run if you get hot enough. So, but Duke, like I said, if Cooper Flag can get healthy, keep icing that ankle, um, they got a great shot at making a finals run.
Rick Pitino got St. John's back relevant again. Off the rip, what does this speak about Rick Pitino as a coach and his legacy being able to turn around yet another program?
It just speaks to how good of a coach he is. Like people see the sound bites of him chewing a guy's head off, and they might think like, "Oh, he couldn't do that to my son." Well, your son might transfer if he said that to you. So not everybody can play for him, and the ones that can, this is what happens. He gets the most out of you. Like RJ Lewis, he transferred last year, decent, comes back this year, Big East Player of the Year, leader of this squad. I mean, you can't really knock this guy. Like Rick Pitino finds these guys under rocks sometimes, and shines it off a little bit and turns it into diamonds. So um, I think they can make a big run in the tournament. Like offensively, you might see little nicks here and there. They're not the best 3-point shooting team, and they're not the biggest. Like their big man plays really hard. He's all of what 6'9", 6'10" on a good day. So um, they're gonna really have to get by on just will and grit, which I mean that's Patino in a nutshell. So
Looking at that first round, right? What game or games are you looking forward to most in that first round?
I mean, when you look at it, usually the top seeds should advance, unless you're Virginia from a few years ago or Duke with Jabari on that team. Those are the teams that like they're not supposed to lose, but they do. Um, but those like 8, 9 seeds, those games are the ones that are a little closer. So Louisville versus Creighton, those are two teams that made it to their respective conference championship games. Louisville, I thought had a great chance to beat Duke. They lost. Creighton, sort of the same thing with St. John's. I thought they had a great chance, but it doesn't. Those games matter, but now it really matters. Like those are teams that have been tested all year. Louisville's one of the best teams in the country. Creighton, they have juniors and seniors all over the map for this team. So that's one of the ones I'm looking at. And UConn, Oklahoma. Like UConn, back to back national champions. Dan Hurley talks a big game. Some people hate him for it, others love him for it. I want to see if they can get out of the first round and then probably face Florida, what that looks like. Because this is not the same team that he's had the last couple of years. This is not they're not as great defensively, offensively. They don't have the veterans on this team to kind of carry the load for the young freshmen that have come in for them. Um, but Dan Hurley's a good coach. Like I can't knock him for a down year a little bit, but I mean it's March. Anybody can be beat, and if his shooters get hot, we'll see. But it's going to be a tough test against Florida. That team, I think, could be the best team in the country. They got shooters all over the place. They're big down low. So I mean, let's uh let's see what happens after that UConn Oklahoma game.
Looking at that men's bracket, what we look for it every single March. Who comes to mind as some possible Cinderella teams on the men's side?
VCU's up there in my opinion. They got a great coach who's definitely going to be up for some of the bigger jobs that are going to be available. I could see them making a little bit of a run. They play BYU in the first round tomorrow. Um, some of the other teams, let me see. Yale. Yale always seems to find a way to get it done. I know Texas A&M, that's a really good team, battle tested from the SEC, but I mean these teams, it's March for a reason. Some teams get hot, other teams get a little tighter. I could see Yale making a little bit of a run, and then North Carolina, who some didn't even see as a possible tournament team, and they made it. They made it in the first four, blew out their opponent. This is a team that I mean they have R.J. Davis still, um, kid from New Jersey's on there too. He's stepped up his game. He's played really well of late over the last month. So I could see them possibly making a Sweet 16, Elite Eight run. Um, then I had one more, Grand Canyon. For some reason, Grand Canyon is like sticking out for me as far as upset. It's like Maryland's good, but sometimes these teams overlook these smaller schools. And Grand Canyon's been here before. I could see them making a little bit of a run into the Sweet 16. So those are some of my upsets. Even though UNC, it's not really an upset. They've just been bad for a little bit. It's cool though.
See, UNC, I'd have to see it to believe it. I'm a UNC fan. I'm not believing, all right, they won that first game, blowout. That's cute. The fact that y'all in this situation tells us about the season. So I'm not believing in UNC at all. Greg, you're mute. I don't know if you was chiming in right there.
I'm saying how you calling a team that has mad 5 stars or a Cinderella? They're ass. They're not a Cinderella though. They're not like an unexpected like riser in this situation. They're just not a good team. They've been bad all year. Their point guard can't shoot, and teams get to load up on RJ Davis, and their freshman class has underperformed. Period. And I've never been a fan of that freshman they brought in. What's his name? Ian Jackson, I think his name is Ian.
Yeah.
New York. I was never a fan of his game. I was like, the name of the game now is, can we make shots from the perimeter? Drive it, make shots from the perimeter. I don't think his game is predicated on being able to shoot the basketball at a high enough clip to be effective at this level, to be truly effective. I'm telling you right now, Rick Pitino said it best. Freshmen nowadays, like, you're not winning with freshmen nowadays. That's not happening. That's why Calipari got disgracefully moved out of Kentucky, because you can't own freshmen. You can't. That what he used to do doesn't work anymore. It doesn't. That the one and done thing is not the same. You're gonna have your one and done guys, but a team of them is not beating a team of transfers and guys who went to JUCOs and guys who have 6 years of eligibility and guys who have their CDLs and all this other stuff. You're not beating them guys. They're and have kids and are married. Look at Bo Nix. He spent like 10 years in college. It's across college sports. So it's not going to happen. And so the landscape's different. But my favorite in this thing is Houston. I love what Kelvin Sampson does. I love these books. He's built the powerhouse, and I know Miles gets a laugh out of that. That's okay. I'm a resident of Houston. I guess
it's raining in Houston, huh?
It's raining in Houston right now. But that's my favorite.
Hey, on the women's side, who are your final four predictions on the women's side, especially when you have a year where South Carolina, they kind of been up and down here and there. It's not the usual dominance that we've seen from a Dawn Staley team. And then even UCLA got the #1 overall seed, but they've been up and down here and there. They lost to UC twice, was able to beat them the last time to get the Big 12 championship. But who is your final four predictions on the women's side?
On the women's side, I'm going to rock with UCLA. I think they got did they get the top overall?
Yep, so. They got the #1 overall seed. Yep.
I'm going to go with UConn. I'm going to say that they're going to upset. I mean, it's not really an upset, but they'll beat USC whenever they meet. South Carolina, I think, makes it out of their end of the bracket. And then Notre Dame. I mean, Notre Dame, I'm sure they got a little chip on their shoulder because they should have a 1 seed, but the way they played over the last month, that's why they got a 3 seed. So, but they've got a favorable region. Like Texas is in there, TCU. These are teams that they could beat. Like I don't see Notre Dame really being fazed by any of the teams in their side of the bracket. So,
Greg, your final four predictions on the women's side.
I'm still going to go with South Carolina. All right. Look, women's basketball doesn't have that much parity. Unless it's changed dramatically, I don't think the parity, and it's getting better. And these teams that aren't powerhouse teams are catching up. But I wouldn't consider this to be a league or a sport now where there's a bunch of parity and these Norfolk states are going to come out of nowhere and make their runs. They'll win games, but when you run into Juju Watkins, you already know what it is. You're getting belt. That's just the way it works. So I'm gonna go with South Carolina. You gotta look at the bracket if you have it in front of me too. I'm gonna go UConn. Gino Auriemma is proven. I trust them more than I trust USC. Just as a team, I think the best player in the matchup between UConn and USC is Juju, but it's about a team. So I'll go UConn there, as well. I think UCLA makes it out of their bracket for sure. With Jaquez, his sister, and they're balling out. They've been playing great all year as well. They're susceptible to getting beat, but I still like them a lot, as well. I'm just trying to make sure I don't give y'all a repeat team here. I'm looking at the whole bracket. I covered most of the regions. I didn't even one more.
I think you just have the Birmingham region left.
The Birmingham region. Hold on, let me tell you right now. Don't leave me, guys. I know it's audio. You
said TCU with Haley Van Lith?
You're not right. You try to give it a name, the big name team, girl. I mean, honestly, bro, I don't you been cooking down there this year, but it's TCU. I don't know about all that. This is bad for the air. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Just stay with me, all right? You guys know I'm good for it. But
Fairleigh Dickinson's there.
Yeah, okay. You see? Look, after what I just said, picking Fairleigh Dickinson would be crazy, right? After what the rant I just went on about no parity in the sport, picking them would be crazy. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with let's go Baylor. A historic team. I don't know. LSU is not as strong as they've been in years past. I'm not sure they're in Birmingham.
Kim Mulkey. Right. It's not a typical Kim Mulkey.
Yeah.
Kim Mulkey team. Even though you could see a situation with Anisha Morrow and Flage, they might be able to go on a run those two and see what happens. You never know. Flage might write an album while March Madness is going on. You never know. So we might see LSU surprise people. We'll see what happens. I like what we saw last year from Flage. Towards the end, she was starting to come into her own. If she goes kill them all like that and 25-8, all right, you might see them come out of the Birmingham bracket side. Staying in the college landscape because he's not officially a pro. He hasn't been drafted. But I mentioned it at the beginning of the show. It's March Madness. A part of March Madness is not just the basketball. March Madness is also, this is the time where you have the combine and you have the pro days and you get the numbers and, oh, he benched 470. He's a number 3 draft pick. Oh, he ran a 4.111. Draft him in the first round. If y'all ain't catch it yet, I'm referencing Jalen Milroe. His 40-yard dash time has everybody in a frenzy. Everybody considering where should we draft him? Where should he go? Is he going to kind of be like an Anthony Richardson situation and shoot up the charts? What do y'all think? Of course, his 40-yard time, but also where will he eventually get drafted and what team do you see as a good fit for Milroe?
Someone's going to take a flyer on him earlier than people think. He might go late first round, like for real. I know late first round, early second. I think that's where he ends up going because I think that the issue he has is just he doesn't connect on the layup throws enough. Throws to the flats, slants, all these easy throws that you think are like just quick completions for quarterbacks. For him, he struggled with them. But his completion percentage going downfield on throws going 40 yards through the air was the best in college football. He was the best deep ball thrower in college football in that offense at Alabama last year. So there's ability there. And this is why in the group chat I told Miles today, I said, hey, he's a better prospect than Jalen Hurts was coming out because he's already I said,
yo,
post it. Hey, Tone, take the clip. Tone
keeps a note on his desk of topics and people to check off. He's like Jalen Hurts, check. Bo Nix, check.
Don't do that.
I'm gonna name drop them every episode.
The comparison is fair because they both Alabama and they both have that same prototype. Right or wrong, Tone. I don't think it's an unfair comparison to make.
Yo, that's an insane comparison to make.
Why? Oh, because Jalen Hurts was a running back, not a quarterback when he came out of college.
As you look at the stats, the numbers don't lie. I mean, Milroe struggled. That's why he's even in this conversation of possible day 3 pick.
The year he had at Oklahoma playing for Lincoln Riley was very strong Okay, and I actually almost discounted it because the only image I have of him in my head is him in Alabama with the dreads, looking like Derrick Henry playing quarterback. That's the only image I have of him in my head for playing quarterback. So the year Oklahoma, I've discounted that Heisman finals. I don't know if he won Heisman or not that year. Probably didn't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but
Yeah, that
still like
doesn't matter. There's so many runner-ups out there. I mean, can't
no,
even
but
count.
I think with where Jalen Milroe is in his development right now, he has to end up with the right coach, a quarterback whisperer, the guy who can get the most out of him, could fix these technical errors. It's really minor things with this footwork. I mean, that's what I would imagine it is when you're missing short throws, but you have all the arm talent in the world. So look, he's the only quarterback in this class that has like an elite trait. If you think about it, like he's the only guy who has an elite physical trait. The only one. The only one. Like his speed is game changing. It is. So don't think for a second that he's going to go in the third or fourth round. This ain't Malik Willis. This is not that. He's going to go second round, maybe late first. That's not out of the question. I'm telling you. Depending on if a team gets screwed out of a quarterback early in the draft and they have to circle back, that could happen, no matter who it might be. So we'll have to wait and see. But I buy into a little bit of that hype physically, man. Like that stuff works and that stuff travels in the NFL. Just look at Jalen Hurts. Just look at some of the other guys who had success running the football. Josh Allen, right? The guys who are physical specimens. Now you gotta connect on the easy throws. You gotta be able to run quick game in the NFL. You have to. But I think again, he has to go to a situation where he's not asked to play early, where there's a quarterback already in place. And we'll have to wait and see, or a veteran in place. And so we'll have to wait and see what that is. But I do think that he's going to shoot up the draft boards. I really do. I believe that. Even though I know he has small hands, which is a thing.
It's funny though because in October, November, you were not singing the same tune.
What did I say? No. What did I say? I said, don't wish misfortune upon me because y'all kept saying, oh, Milroe to the Giants. I ain't saying nothing about him as a. I just said I don't want that running back on my team. On my team.
There it is, folks. There it is.
On my team. That's what I said.
Pressure on him. He's gonna.
But he's got ability. Like the game against Georgia, he played. The game against Georgia.
I'm not saying he doesn't have ability. In the game against Georgia, that was a lot of running, and that's what his game is right now. He's a great runner, and the 4.37 shows that. Like he's got the speed, and I'm sure whatever team drafts him, they'll have those packages in there for him early in the season to get him on the field because he is a weapon. The legs, you can't like discount dual threat quarterbacks. Like right now, his running is just at a higher level than his passing is. So he's going to have to sit like 2-3 years before he's ready to even step in to a job possibly. So, I mean, teams that could be, we could go with the Rams as a possible spot. Like Sean McVay, I trust him when it comes to quarterbacks. Who else? Seattle's a possibility too. I mean, why not take a chance on a guy who you already paid Sam? It's a 3-year deal where when you look beneath the numbers, it's really a 1-year deal. So he could possibly be your guy moving forward. Even the Colts could draft him at some point and move on from Anthony Richardson, which it'd be a shame, but I mean, that's the name of the game in the NFL. You get 2, it used to be like 3-4 years. Now you get like 2 max before they start, bringing you close to the chopping board. So, and then New Orleans. New Orleans is another place that, I mean, Derek Carr, we know he's not it. They're not winning anything while he's there. Spencer Rattler kind of knew he wasn't it. So you bring Jalen over there, and he can sit behind Derek Carr. Kellen Moore can try to work his magic, and let's see. I mean, like you said, he's similar in ways to Jalen. So if Kellen Moore wants to move forward with a guy like that who can maneuver out of the pocket, and that's a weapon, and you'll pick and choose smart throws for him to make, as a kid you can do that with, but he's got to develop first.
So you mentioned the Colts. Staying with the quarterback conversation, the Colts, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that they signed Daniel Jones to the Colts. Looking at that matchup right there, is that the writing on the wall that the Colts don't really believe in Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones could actually take that job?
I think that was one of the worst quarterbacks they could sign to compete for the job. So it's almost like if you can't beat out Daniel Jones, I mean, it's not looking too good for your NFL career. Like, you were a top 10 pick. You're supposed to be developing. Last year was basically like his rookie year because, he missed a lot of time with the shoulder injury his first year. But at times he didn't look ready. I mean, making bad throws, missing easy throws. And Daniel Jones, I mean, for all the flack that he catches, he's had sustained good play at points, even if at this point in time he's just a real nice backup. It's better than what, maybe like a Mariota or signing one of these other guys like Russell Wilson. Like, Daniel Jones is still young enough to possibly get the job done or ease you guys into the next regime because, I mean, guys are going to lose their jobs over this Anthony Richardson pick if it doesn't hit. That's usually what happens. Guys don't last for two quarterbacks. You can't miss on a top 5 pick. Like, that sets your franchise back 5-10 years, honestly.
I mean,
But he could be Josh Allen. I mean, this is a guy, Daniel Jones, who he showed when he signed that contract with the Giants. No, let me stop. He's not going to reach those levels.
Yo, bro. I was like, I thought you talking about Anthony Richardson. I'm like, he's talking about you see, you trying to troll. Okay. He ain't right. And all right, bro. Anyways. Yeah, when they bring in competition for you, and actually I don't agree with Bomani Jones on a lot of things he says, but I agree about this. If you have a black starting quarterback in place, if they bring in a black quarterback to back you up, you're good. You're fine. If you bring in a black backup quarterback to back your ass up, pause. Then you're screwed. You're screwed. And then bringing in Daniel Jones, a white, called up guy, professional. The locker room's gonna rally around him. The Giants locker room still love him. They still talk highly about him, right? As a person, as a worker, as a person, even though he sucked, right? That don't matter, but he was a good dude, right? You bring that dude to back up your quarterback, your starting quarterback, who it's over. As far as I'm concerned, if Anthony Richardson has a hiccup this season in any way, it's going to be the end of all she wrote for his time in Indianapolis, right? And it probably should have already been the end. But I give the Colts credit for one thing: they're not hanging on, like, right? They're at our case, year 2, we didn't see the progression we wanted to see. Let's bring in the backup, a proven guy. A proven guy who can help us win games. We know he can help us win games. Let's bring him in, right? So that's what they did. Okay, cool. The leash is much shorter for a guy like Anthony Richardson than it was for Daniel Jones, though. I think there's irony in that. I just want to point that out. I know I'm taking it somewhere else, but that's what I do. The leash is much shorter for Anthony Richardson. It was 2 years, two short years, right? All those physical gifts, some of the high moments he had, doesn't matter. Now we're getting ready to close that chapter in Colts history. The Giants, they kept that book open for 6 years. Dude got to write a trilogy with the Giants, Daniel Jones, right? So I'm just saying, it's interesting. And people are going to hate that, whatever, man. It's real. Like, it's just real. But it's justified here. I agree, it's justified. I haven't seen the flashes you like to see from a guy that talented. But to Miles's point, the coaches have to take a bit of the blame there, a lot of the blame, because he has not developed under your watch. So you're probably going to get fired. Yeah, it don't work out, you're going to get fired. Because Daniel Jones ain't going to save your job. That's not going to happen. Okay?
Now, we didn't get to our social media team didn't get to actually clip what was said last week. Greg alluded to it and said the Vikings, if y'all by any, I don't know why, in any world y'all are considering bringing in Aaron Rodgers, it makes no sense. If y'all consider that, then obviously there's something wrong with JJ McCarthy. Obviously, our social media team did not get to clip it, but they had to watch the show because the Vikings came out and said, "Hey, we don't want nothing with Aaron Rodgers. We going all faith is in JJ McCarthy." But that means Aaron Rodgers is still out there. So Aaron Rodgers is still on the block, still a free agent. It's been talks of Steelers. It's been talks of the Giants as possible teams that he might go to. I believe it was Cam Hayward that came out this week and said, "Look, I ain't got no time to still be talking about we waiting on Aaron Rodgers. Let's just get a quarterback in here and we figure it out." Which is funny enough because stat came out. The Steelers defense of payroll, the payroll for the Steelers defense is twice as much as the Steelers offense. We know the defense is really good. It's twice the payroll for what is the offense. Should teams wait for Aaron Rodgers?
I mean, this is why I was happy that we got out of the Aaron Rodgers business. Um, it didn't work out for the 2 years he was here, and I mean, it's literally playing out the same way it did for us now for what the Giants, Steelers, teams that are interested, because he's holding things up. Like you see reports, Russell Wilson's ready to sign with the Giants at any moment, but everything's being held up because of this guy who is in a place with no cell service. It's very dark, and he doesn't want to be bothered. Like Cam Hayward's right. Like it's not that difficult. Like make your decision. Like it doesn't have to be dramatic. This isn't The Bachelor. Like you don't have to turn everything into a spectacle. Um, Pick a team. It's not like you're 28. You're 42, a year and a half removed from an Achilles. You telling me we're waiting on you? Like you should be crawling to us because there's not many teams that want you right now. This is not like MVP Rogers where all 32 teams would, jump for the chance to take that guy. Now, I mean, he's been through the mill. Like you're not coming into this next stop all gravy. Like the Steelers, that would be a good fit. That should be the only place that he should be considering, especially with them getting DK Metcalf and you got George Pickens and Freiermuth and Warren as a weapon too. So it's not like they're barren of weapons on this team. They got a defense. They have potential on offense. Sounds a lot like the Jets. So if he's trying to redo that whole thing, then by all means pick the Steelers, but don't have them wait until draft time before you decide. Like free agency has been going on for the last couple weeks. Guys have signed. Things have slowed down because guys have signed. So the Giants, if I'm them, just sign Russell Wilson. Don't even wait for this guy. Like it's ridiculous that you're waiting on a guy who he's putting you guys on hold real quick because I don't feel like deciding right now. So yeah, for everything that makes Aaron Rodgers great, this is what makes him I don't want to say it, but a piece of shit.
Look, guys. I mean, with Aaron Rodgers, the situation is simple. I think Miles put it best. Like, right, the way you got to get to a point where you're tired of the waiting game. Now, Cam Hayward can talk a tough game. I don't know if he said, "Hey, Todd the year Steeler or not," right? So and so, yada yada yada. But you're kind of in a situation where you have to wait for him. You have no choice. I mean, think about it, right? Like the market's kind of past. You're gonna do bring back Russ. You already know what the results going to be. You already know what it's going to be, right? Like you're going to do the same thing. They're in quarterback purgatory. They're too good every year to be in the conversation of trading up for quarterbacks. You're not going to trade up from 17, 15, 13, wherever you are, 21 to the third spot, to the second spot. You'd have to give up everything. You have to trade Tomlin to get that done. All right? And obviously, we know they're not going to do that. Although I'm sure the fans in Pittsburgh would love that, from what I've heard. But regardless, like, you know, they're in a situation where it's Aaron Rodgers or bust this offseason. There's really no other two ways around it. That's just where they are. The Giants is a different thing because they're not competing. They're not trying to win a playoff game. So the Giants, in my opinion, they're playing with house money. I think that Daboll, and I know Daboll and them are fighting for their jobs, understandably so. But even with that in mind, you're still not as desperate as the Steelers are. You're not. You just aren't, because Tomlin and them need to win with that roster. They have a win now roster. The Giants don't. Period. You just want to see growth from the Giants. You just want to see a better product, and maybe that saves your job. Maybe. And hopefully you get the quarterback of the future, or else then you really all might get fired anyways. But, you know, with that in mind, I think the Steelers have to wait. They have no choice. You can see what Miles did. We'll talk about that hopefully at some point. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, like the Steelers have to wait. They have no choice. The Giants, on the other hand, they could just bow out right now. But I also think they have nothing to lose by waiting. I think Russ has wanted to be in New York for years. This is not a secret. Sierra wants to live in New York City. It's something people have been talking about. It's been buzzing in the NFL community. People hear the rumors all the time. So for the Giants, like, hey man, we know this guy wants to play for us, and we know Aaron Rodgers is interested enough in us to not make a quick decision. He didn't say no to us right away, so let's just see. We'd rather have Aaron Rodgers. Let's see what he says. I'm not against it, but I do think Aaron Rodgers is a dick. Simply put. I do think that. I think that's what we're dealing with. So, you know, we'll see what happens, but I'm interested to see where this goes with Aaron Rodgers, and hopefully he makes this decision soon. But he loves the fact that we're all talking about him. He loves it, right? He's just soaking this all up in his little cabin, doing all types of weird drugs that we ain't never heard of before and all that, right? Immunizing himself. So we'll see how it goes, but. You know, I do think I will say, as from a football perspective, I do think that Aaron Rodgers provides the Giants with more upside offensively than Russell Wilson, and I don't think anyone would argue with that, right? I think Aaron Rodgers gives us a chance to see Malik Neighbors at full strength. Like, I would love to see that, but so does Jameis Winston. Hot take. So does Jameis Winston. If Jameis Winston comes here, if you turn Jerry Jeudy into a quarterback that was worthy of a second contract, what do you think he's going to do with Malik Neighbors? Like, he gonna throw some picks, whatever. I don't expect to win no games, no way. By the way, I don't want to win games. I want to have fun. You gonna throw the ball to Malik Neighbors? He might go for like 1,500 yards. No BS. Just saying, Jameis Winston is not a bad option. I hope they sign him, regardless of what happens with Rodgers or Wilson.
Y'all know I'm a big Jameis Winston fan. I love him as a player, but more so, I love him more as the human being and what we get to see off the field, the inspirational speeches, and the dude just looked like he having fun. What he was doing during Super Bowl week, dancing with people in the city, catching crab legs and eating it, which was kind of wild because you don't know how clean that was or whatnot. But shout out to Jameis Winston. Another crazy stat that's came from this free agency for the NFL. March Madness, y'all. The Bengals are paying for 3 players. They are paying more than their entire salary cap that they had in 2013 with 3 players. And now I'm talking about Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. With paying Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, did the Bengals make a mistake?
I'm laughing because our resident Bengal fan didn't join us tonight, and when I gave my opinions and thoughts on this in real time, he got viscerally upset with me. Right? I was appalled by his behavior that night. But you know, what I will say about this situation here is, I think it's stupid as hell. I think it's stupid. I think it flatly is dumb. You look at the way the NFL is, the way it works now, and the way these teams that win habitually are constructed. No one's paying 2 receivers top guy money. Like some teams pay their number 1 receiver 4 years, 112. Like the deal at T Higgins is the deal for a number one on certain teams, right? Like we can find one if we just played that game. So I know that they're trying to capitulate to Joe Burrow and make him happy, but this is not the NBA. Like you can't play money ball in this league. There's a salary cap. If you're allocating all those funds to the wide receiver position, and we already were arguing about Jamar Chase versus Penny Sewell. Okay, let's call it a draw. Let's call it a draw. Let's do that. All right, fine. Because Penny Sewell's awesome, so I'm not going to say it's an outright win. Jamar is awesome too, but he's both Hall of Fame level like guys like on that track. That's how good they both are. But like for me, like you double down on that mistake. Like you double down on that decision. It's not a mistake. All right, don't get mad at me. Don't start purring at me and hissing at me. It's not a mistake, but you double down on that decision, and that's tough. That's crazy, right? Like how are you going to continue to build your offensive line through the draft? The draft is a crapshoot. You're gonna miss more than you hit. That's just the way it works. Even the best GMs miss more than they hit. Just if the hits are great enough, you'll stick around, right? But if you're able to do well in free agency to cover up those holes, then you can have a great product for a long time. Free agency is not going to be an option for you anymore. Like, and you're going to pay Trey Hendrickson to come back. You're bringing him back. So, like, what are we even doing? Why was the move not to trade T. Higgins? Clearly, and don't tell me it's about keeping Joe Burrow happy, because the ownership over there doesn't really care about how happy these players are, if we're being honest. Because if that were the case, these guys would have been sharing their ball sweat and jock straps years ago. So he really don't care about the well-being of the players. I don't want to hear that. So, in all seriousness, man, I mean, it's a tough move to get behind. It is. They'll be great offensively, but they're going to run into their problems. You watch the Kansas City Chiefs walk into that Super Bowl and get absolutely demolished up front by the Eagles. And you said, you know what? We're going to go pay T. Higgins $112 million. And we're going to wait, and this is a decision they made beforehand, but we're going to wait to pay Jamar Chase until the point where he has this incredible Triple Crown worthy season. He might have hit the Triple Crown, right? And we pay him after the fact, and now we have to break the bank and make him the highest paid foot player out. That's not a quarterback in the NFL. Insane. And you let Myles Garrett get paid first, so you had to beat his contract. You didn't even pay him quick. You know what I'm saying? Like he held all the cards. It was negotiating. This should be in a class, like how not to negotiate if you look at the situation with what the Bengals did. So they're in cap hell. They're reminiscent of the Cowboys moving forward. Maybe even a worse spot than the Cowboys, are being honest, with the money they're going to shell because Trey Hendrickson's going to get paid. And I don't know where the money's coming from. I don't know. I think Chris should start to expect messages and emails and DMs and texts from the Bengals organization asking him for some money in the coming weeks, because that's what's going to be happening. They're going to have to solicit from their fans a bit more than just ticket sales and jersey sales and hot dogs or whatever the hell they eat over there, whatever nonsense they eat. Poutine. I don't know what they eat over there in Cincinnati, but he's going to have to expect to donate to make sure that this team can stay afloat, because they're going to need all the help they can get financially. And by the way, hot take, that roster is not winning a Super Bowl. I don't know how you're doing it. You're not winning a Super Both. It's probably not even a hot take. You guys both react. They're not winning a Super Bowl, guys. Like, I don't see it with the decisions they've made financially. There's no way you can win a Super Bowl.
Right. Like, can you look at that move to sign T. Higgins and, give Jamar all this money and say that they got better? No, I mean, they're staying the same. And that T. Higgins money, that could have been money allocated towards the defense or used for a top-tier lineman that was on the market. But instead, you're paying two receivers number one money when, I mean, sure, Jamar's going to say 1A, 1B, but T. Higgins is a number two. Like, sure, if he hit free agency, he was going to get paid like a number one. But is he a number one? I'm not totally sold on that. So, sure, this keeps Joe Burrow happy, and that's the most important person to keep happy is Joe Burrow. But the defense didn't get any better. This is one of the worst defenses in the NFL. And like you said, they still got to figure out how to pay Trey Hendrickson. Like, he just had a career year. And you see Myles Garrett get paid. Micah Parsons is going to get paid. I mean, that's another topic for another day. But Trey Hendrickson, he's one of the best defensive ends, pass rushers in the league. And you think he's going to take a discount just to stay home? I mean, T. Higgins took every dime that he could. Jamar took every dime that he could. So sure, Joe could say that, yeah, I made some moves to save money for these guys. But what about the other guys? You didn't mention Trey Hendrickson in any of those talks about uh, taking a pay cut or, converting X to a bonus and all that stuff. So this defense, I don't see how it gets better. Sure, Chris would say that there's always the draft, there's always free agency. Free agency is basically past. Y'all didn't do anything. The draft is coming. And do you really trust this regime to hit on those picks? I mean, sure, they hit on the obvious ones, but I mean, people don't make the Hall of Fame just off of first round picks. It's 2 through 5 that you really have to do some hard hitting with these picks. And lately, they haven't been doing it. So, um, yeah, 9-8, that was great last year. But if you expect them to really make some moves in that division, which is one of the best divisions in football, with that defense, like this isn't the Big 12. This is the NFL. So you're gonna have to play defense at some point. Um, I just thought it was short-sighted by the Bengals a little bit, but it's not my team. And if it was my team, maybe I wouldn't be talking about this right now because it'd be too hard to talk about.
Hey, you made the sign earlier that is synonymous with this man with the last name Sanders, Shador Sanders. Real quick, I went through a couple of mock drafts just now. CBS, Yahoo, PFF, NBC, NFL, Walter Football. Only one of them have Shador going past 3. They have CBS, the Jets get him at 7. Shador, we know. We had one of the family members of the show. Griff came on, second round pick, doesn't see the talent. I'm seeing everything pretty much the clear cut. Everybody is saying outside of CBS, he's going to the Giants. Or Walter Football has it as the Cleveland Browns. Where does Shador get drafted at for y'all? And we have a Giants fan on the show. Do you even want Shador in New York?
I'm gonna let him take a swing on him. No, I mean it. Like I'm at a point now where I feel like Cam Ward is a better quarterback prospect after just kind of looking more into it, watching him a bit more closely. Because even though I'm in a place where I'm dead inside, I still care about the Giants on some level. So I am watching film, but I am dead inside. So if the Giants ended up with nothing, I truly wouldn't care. I'm gonna have the same demeanor. I'm not ordering food to my house this year. I got food sent to the house last year. Sat there, thought they were gonna get Drake maybe. We ended up with nothing, and then I threw the food. It was really bad. Like I was really upset. So this is not gonna happen this year. This year I don't give a damn. Any team stupid enough to beat the Colts in week 17 or whatever it was to cost yourself the number 1 pick and not have to give up assets to trade up to get Cam Ward, you're a dumbass team. Sorry. You're dumb. And I shouldn't care about you enough to get upset or let it ruin my day or week. Fair enough. So anyways, back to Shador. Shador, I like Griff. I didn't agree with Griff's take on him as a player. I really didn't. Okay. I thought it was a bit unfair. He made him sound like he has a noodle. He made him sound like he has Tua Tagovailoa, whatever his name is, his arm. God damn, you can't say that last name. It's crazy. He made it sound like he had Tua's arm. He made it sound that way. And that's not the case. I mean, he played up in Boulder in elevation and was able to drive the football down the field on numerous occasions, including the Hail Mary play where he had to run to his left and turn his body and make a throw. I think he's very technically sound. I think the issue with Shador is, you're going to the NFL. This is not the Big 12, bro. Like you can't try to extend play. Like you really can't try to extend plays. You can't get greedy. You really need to take what defense gives you. You need to watch as much Brock Purdy film as possible I know it sounds crazy, but it's just like he plays the position really well. And he knows how to get the ball out there into space and throw in anticipation, because he understands like, yo, I don't got a rocket arm, but I can put this ball where I need to put it when I need to put it there. Like I can do that. And I understand timing as well. Like, okay, I play behind a great offensive line, but like I can't take 3 seconds back here. I can't try to make this Myles Garrett miss off the edge. Are you out of your mind? I can't try to make Nick Bonito from the Broncos try to miss. Like, you're not going to make these guys miss. It's not the same. You're not playing against TCU on a random Saturday afternoon anymore. That's done. So all that to say, I think that's something you can fix. I think he'll learn, right? He's a smart guy. He's a smart quarterback. He's much more technically sound than any other quarterback in the draft. Footwork wise, like you can tell he's been coached his entire life to play quarterback. And that shows in the film, the tape, when I watched him play, that shows he understands how to play the position. Travis Hunter is a generational player, and people are kind of using Travis Hunter to push Shador down. Like, oh, he's so lucky he had Travis throw the ball to. Don't do that, guys. Like, don't do that. That's and we know why it's happening, by the way. We know exactly why that's happening. It's unfair. But you know, because you don't see it happening to a lot of these other quarterbacks that play with great receivers. That's not fair. But I think he's got the ability to play at the next level, at a high level. I think the nice comparison for him is a Geno. Actually, I didn't always agree with that, but I do agree with it. He doesn't have the same amount of arm that Geno did coming out of West Virginia, because Geno has a rocket. He could throw the ball like a long way. He has a better arm, straight up. But I think the way they navigate the pocket, I think the way they play the position, the way that the parts of the field that they use, you'd like to see Shador use more of the deeper parts of the field more often at the next level. But if you play some Malik Neighbors, you ain't gonna have no choice but to do that, right? It's gonna happen. So I like him. I think I give him a chance. I don't think he falls out of the top 3. I think the Giants do have genuine interest in him. I think that's real. And I know that he has genuine interest in the Giants. I think he would do well in this market. I have no reservations really about him as a person, handling the market, handling the scrutiny that comes along with playing in New York City. So no, I think he's definitely a guy who you can consider a top 3 lock, especially when you're talking about propping up guys like Jackson Dart. When you do that, now I know that this Shador stuff is, a lot of it is smoke, and teams are trying to give him the fall because they like him. Like the Raiders. The Raiders would just love if he fell into the, oh my God. The Raiders would love to pair Geno and Shador. So you hear all this stuff, right? All this nonsense about him. It's just to get him to fall. I do truly believe that he goes to the Giants, right? If they can't trade up to number 1, if that can't happen. And I think the more interesting conversation, really, too, another part of it is, what do these teams do? Like, what do the Browns do at number 2? Are they going to pass up on Travis Hunter? And all of a sudden, by the way, you're hearing that Travis Hunter is a better wide receiver on tape than he is corner. You passing up on that guy? Probably not. Probably Abdul Carter too? Probably not. Like they say those are the only 2 generational players in this draft, which, by the way, I agree with. I agree with that. I don't think there's a generational quarterback prospect in this class. So that doesn't mean that Shador can't have success and be a guy who's an all-pro down the line and win a lot of football games. I've seen guys a lot less talented than Shador Sanders win football games in the NFL. So I'm not here for the second round. Come on, Griff. In next year's draft class, fine. You say that if he was in next year's draft class, okay, we can have a conversation about that. He's not. He's in this one. Let's be real. That was crazy. Black History Month too. I fried him up though. That was wild.
And they still are. I'm getting comments still to this day.
Jeez.
About that post right there. But you talk about, hey, Shador has the talent. You believe he'll be able to make the right adjustments to be successful in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Can the same be said about SGA and the OKC Thunder? They get a lot of calls. We're seeing more and more teams and players complain about the amount of foul calls they get. SGA, they say he's a foul merchant. Leading, they say he's worse than when James Harden was doing it. We know when the playoffs come, it's a completely different game. It's a lot more physical. They let fouls go. Do you think SGA, OKC will get these same calls come playoff time?
No, it does. It doesn't work that way. Like in the playoffs, they're gonna call it tighter. You're gonna get more. I don't even say '90s style basketball, but just good basketball being played. You're not gonna get those. Let me grab your arm and jump up, and that's a foul. Like they're not gonna call as many of those fouls. And after each game, the coaches are going to complain on both sides, saying like, "Oh, we didn't get enough foul calls," or "They got too many," and it's going to go that way. But I think OKC can withstand that and play a good brand of basketball. I think this team is different from last year as far as they do have a guy down there in Hartenstein who, sure, you might not think he's Anthony Davis when it comes to defense, but he's a big body who can put his hand up, grab rebounds, be physical, and one of the best passing big men in the NBA. I mean, it's a very underrated part of his game that he can read cutting the way that he does. So um, you get another year of SGA, who I thought played pretty well in the playoffs last year. You got Jalen Williams. Um, you got Chet. I think Chet is one of the X factors for this team because I mean he's been banged up at times, and you want to see the true potential of this team healthy with Chet and another big down there. Like you don't want Chet to be the five for your team. He's got to be that four with Hartenstein right next to him. So I do think this team can make a playoff run. It just depends on how the seeding sways. I mean, would they play LA in the second round? Because if they do, then that's a different story. Um, you got LeBron, who hopefully is healthy in the next week or two, coming back. You got Luca, and with the way that Austin Reeves has been playing lately, they got a nice little big three there in LA. So um, teams shouldn't count out OKC on making a finals run. It's possible they can do it, but hold your horses. We got to see it first. Like they made it to the semifinals. I see they've stopped doing the post game antics, which they should have been stopping anyway. They got to focus at some point. Like this is not college. We're not we're not doing all that. Like focus, get down to business, and be great. Like this OKC team can be great. SGA is great. He should win MVP this year. I think he will win MVP this year. Um, but we'll see. That's why the NBA playoffs, that's when a lot of people tune in. Regular season can, drag a little bit. You get the silly basketball of March and April where a G League guy comes up and gets a triple double or something. So some of the games they're kind of hard to watch, but playoff time is different.
I mean, yeah, I mean, if you watch basketball at any level at all, guys, in the NBA, especially historically, guys don't get the same amount of calls when the playoffs start. They don't, and that's why you see playoff averages dip. That's why the guys who perform in the playoffs are the guys who are true superstars. Superstars are made in the playoffs, right? Your performance in superstar in the playoffs dictate whether or not you can be considered a superstar or you get the super max contract or whatever, right? Or you're a face of the franchise guy. So the regular season success really doesn't matter. I think I saw a comment from somebody who on our post about the Cavs. I was talking about them, why we don't believe in them, and I said they don't have a superstar. And someone said, "Yeah, they do." It's Donovan Mitchell. He's not a superstar. He's performed in the postseason. Yes, he has. He has. He's had some big games. The lights aren't really a problem for him, but he hasn't carried a team in the postseason necessarily. At least in my, I carried a team to I don't know. Did the Jazz get to a conference finals with him? They might have. They might have. But I think about it.
I don't think so.
You know, right? I mean, maybe not. Okay, so That's what I'm saying, man. Like Rudy and him and all those pieces, O'Neal, Royce O'Neal, and all them guys. Anyways, I don't want to make it about him. I just don't. He's not a superstar, and he's not. Anyways, I don't want to entertain a stupid comment on there. But looking at this OKC team, I think it boils down to two things: how Shea adjusts to the physicality. Because I think last year you kind of see it bothered him a little bit. He played great. He's going to score 20 plus points in his sleep. That's not really how you dictate if he's playing a good game or not. It's about the impact he's having on the game. Is he making winning plays? Are they winning because of him? Like, right? Is he getting big rebounds? Is he making great passes to adjust to the defense? Is he cutting without the ball in his hands? Anyways, so there's that. And then also, who's going to be your number two in the postseason? Like, it's the same thing I talked about the Knicks last week. They don't have a number two. Like, Cat is the de facto number two, but he kind of comes. His signal, it gets a little weird. He has T-Mobile. We don't know if he can lift signal if he in the right spot. We don't know when Cat gonna show up. Right? Cat love a night, a random Tuesday night against Miami where he could have 30 points in a quarter and talk all this trash. But when the big dogs roll up to town, he's nowhere to be found. And that's the problem, right? So it's the same thing with OKC, right? Is Jalen Williams going to ascend and play great basketball and be able to match LeBron as the number two on the other side, right? Probably not. I mean, he's going to play great, but can you match LeBron? I don't know about all that, right? Can you match, Jamal Murray and Jokic, right? And those guys. The OKC hangs their hat on defense, but every team's going to play great defensively in the postseason. I really do believe that. At least the real teams that are serious, like the Lakers, Boston, right? Cleveland to some extent. I don't really believe in them though. And I think this past week has been illuminating, guys. Just saying, after I said it, dropped 2 games and it's like, and it seemed like nothing, but there's something. Anyways, yeah. So I don't know if I don't think it'll be Chet. Chet's still adjusting and coming back from that injury, which is really, really bad. And so it needs to be Jalen Williams. And as good as he is, I don't think he can match a duo of LeBron and Luka in a postseason series. That's just me. And I know I'm making it very Lakers centric, but it's because I believe the Lakers and OKC will match up for all the marbles in the West. They're the 2 best teams, in my opinion. And I don't think it's particularly close. I don't think Denver qualifies. They don't shoot the ball well enough as a team. They just don't do it. So, yeah, that's my 2 concerns. But Shea's not getting the same calls. Look at Steph Curry. Look at James Harden's numbers in the postseason. Steph Curry's numbers have dipped in the postseason as he gets further and further along in the postseason because teams are very physical off the ball with him, and they get away with it. And they don't get away with it in the regular season. And then with James, it's like, we're not going for the gimmick, bro. Like, we're not. Like, you want to get a bucket, go straight ethical hoops, man. Get a clean basket. We ain't gonna give you a little sidestep, little up fake, a little hook the arm on the way to the basket because Shea does the same thing. It's not going to work in the postseason, man. You got to find other ways. But Shea's a great player, and he will adjust. I'll give him that.
Speaking of, you mentioned the Lakers. They are currently waxing the Denver Nuggets. Jokic is not playing, but still, they're getting waxed. 105 to 77 at the end of the third quarter. Luka has something like 36-7. Yeah, probably not going to play that fourth quarter. Probably done for the night. But to see them losing this bad, is this evident that Nikola Jokic should be the MVP? And with that in mind, before y'all get into it and you give your answer, because it's really just a 2-man race between Nikola and SGA, how do y'all define what an MVP is? Some would say the most valuable player, which would be Nikola. How do you define an MVP player? And 2-part question, voter fatigue. We only really see that in the NBA. Should we be done with this whole voter fatigue conversation? Whoever's the MVP should just get the MVP.
It's a conversation we've had a lot. That's why I'm laughing. But yeah, I mean, look, I think the problem is actually that we try to find a universal definition for MVP. That's not the way it should work. Actually, I think it should be a case by case scenario, right? Like 2018, LeBron is the greatest example I can give you, where it's like it doesn't fit the mold of, hey, best player on a number 1 seed. No, like he was carrying the Cavs water all year. Like they would have been terrible without him. And so he deserved the award. And if you look at, I think it was James Harden who won the award that year. If you look at the numbers side by side, LeBron blew him out in every statistical category: points, rebounds, assists, everything. So it's a culmination of things, but it's about who the most valuable player is to their team, and who's the most valuable player in the NBA, like just from in terms of impact on winning. Jokic has a strong case, man. I'm just gonna keep it a stack. He does. The issue is that Shea fits every traditional metric for MVP there ever has been. He is scoring title, best player on the best team in the NBA. It's a tough race this year. It is, but Jokic, what he's done carrying that Nuggets team, they really can't shoot. Like they don't shoot the ball well at all. The drop off is so dramatic, and all they lost was KCP, from what I can remember. I look back. I was watching them a little bit earlier tonight, and I look back and I'm like, who else did they lose on that roster? I know they
Bruce Brown, Jeff Green. That's it.
You know what I'm saying? That shouldn't make you like a terrible shooting, because it wasn't like Jeff Green made some big shots for them when he played, and Bruce Brown was great for them. He was, but Bruce Brown's not a 3-point shooter. Like, let's be honest, that's not his game. But he was making some, at least against the Lakers, he was. You know what I mean? Like what everyone seemed to do. At least back then. That's the old Lakers. That's Darvin Ham's there, Lakers. That bad juju left for him. But walk around with his hands in his back pockets. Anyways, yeah, man. With that all being said, I think that Jokic is a very strong case. I know I sang a different song here not too long ago on the podcast, but I'd be an idiot not to change my opinion. I mean, I think Jokic has been phenomenal offensively, carrying that load for that basketball team every single night. What teams like waiting for, teams know he's coming, and it doesn't matter. Like they know what to expect, and it doesn't matter. He had a 30-20-20 game. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, no one should be upset if Shea wins it, when he probably will. But I think it's like evidence, further evidence about the issue with the way we vote on MVP. Well, not we, because I would never do that dumb stuff. The way Stephen A. Smith and those idiots vote on the MVP award, because you try to make it like this one universal thing, this one size fits all thing. That's not it. It changes year to year. And by the way, I know they're capable of nuance because Russell Westbrook won it on that team that was like the 6th seed or whatever that year. He did. And I'm not saying he didn't deserve it. He did. But you're capable of using nuance when you want to. And another thing too, I'll say this too before I let Miles go and we wrap or whatever we're gonna do. Bro, the Stephen A. Smith beef with LeBron looks really bad from a voter like equity standpoint. Like you can't have a voter openly going out there and telling people like, me and Bron don't get along flatly. So you don't think that's affected whether or not LeBron's been up for awards? You don't think that's had an effect on whether or not he got it? You know, to be so brazenly connected to Michael Jordan publicly, it's a bad look. Because how do I know that you said all stats be damned? I'm going to vote against Bron for Defensive Player of the Year or MVP this year, because I don't want him to pass to have a leg up on Michael Jordan, who's my idol, who's my king. How do I know? You know what I mean? Like, for real talk, how do I? Stephen A. Smith all but got on his knees on his podcast and said that. He said, hey, man, like, the reason why me and Bron don't get along is because I know a GOAT when I see one. Michael Jordan's my GOAT. Gobble, gobble, gobble. How do I know that you're not trying to tilt the scales to ensure that your GOAT isn't threatened, or his legacy isn't impeded on further by LeBron? And we all know Michael Jordan fans are insecure about LeBron because he's always been the only real threat to that guy's like title as GOAT. You know what I'm saying? So it's a bad look, and I think something has to change with that. With this MVP thing, because these guys, you cost these guys money. Like they vote on all NBA and all this stuff. If they have a problem with a player, they're not going to vote for him. Real talk. We're going to assume that these guys are so good as human beings that they're above being petty. Stephen A. Smith is petty as they come. Give me a break. You know what I mean? He's as petty as they come, clearly. So I don't want to hear that. Like, whatever, bro.
Hey, Miles, do you think that we should get rid of voter fatigue? Like, should this not be a thing anymore? We've mentioned it on our show, and we've talked about it plenty of times that MJ should definitely have some more MVPs. Kobe probably should have some more MVPs. Bron should have probably had some more MVPs. Shaq, should voter fatigue even be a thing anymore?
Should it be a thing anymore? I feel like you can't control it. Like it's not something that like one year you're just like, oh shoot, like this guy's just so great. I gotta go a different way. Like I guess with LeBron, it happened that way where he is so great that he could honestly have 10, 11 MVPs, and that would strengthen his GOAT status. But um, at a point, they start changing up the criteria for what an MVP is, and it's almost like you need. It's almost like you need LeBron to go over and beyond what he's used to doing. Like that one team that he took with Jeff Green and all those guys to the finals where they got swept. But for him to lead that team, you would think he'd get more love from voters, but I don't think he did. I don't think he did. And then this year, if he's able to get the votes or able to get the amount of games, I'm interested to see where he would land in the voting. Just because, I mean, this Lakers team isn't moving the way they are without him, and he's what 40 years old. I feel like that should weigh into some of the voters' opinions too. Like we've never seen a player this great this long in their career. Um, and for Jokic, it's funny because yeah, you should almost view him in the same light as how people viewed LeBron, where like you could just keep giving him the award because he's the best player in the game right now. And I don't think that's up for much of a debate because of how when he's not in the lineup for this team, it's a clear difference. I know they beat Golden State the other night, but it is what it is. I mean, Aaron Gordon's not going to score 40 every night. So, um, and you see tonight against LA, they're struggling. And they've been struggling without him on the court the whole year. So, I mean, if we're using that metric of when he's on the court, off the court, then it's Jokic easily. Like he's the runaway favorite for MVP. But um, I know you asked about voter fatigue. I don't know how you avoid it. There's like no way to, directly avoid voter fatigue without just admitting like I can't vote for this guy anymore, which the writers aren't going to do because that might make them lose their vote. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that would be, you might lose your vote, but it also takes away the credibility of the award. If y'all openly admit that, hey, I only voted for X player because we were tired of him, we needed a new narrative, and the NBA wanted something different. The NBA wanted to prop up a different player from a lower market, whatever the case may be. That then takes the credibility away, which is the NBA doesn't want, because there's always been question marks about the credibility, little rumors here and there, like they forced the Lucas trade to happen to have the ratings go up, things of that nature. You don't want to do that. To your point of Bron, he has 7 games left to make that mark of 65 games with only 14 games left in the season. I don't know if he makes that benchmark of the 65 games this year, which would be a wild thing for our kids and their kids to look back and not, unless they do their research, not really be able to ascertain how great of a season he had at 40, because more than likely he's not reaching 65 games, which means he's not going to get any awards. No MVP votes, no first team, nothing, no defensive player vote. None of those votes will be part of LeBron's season, which is an absolute top-notch season that he's having at 40 years old. And you got to think about that. LeBron at 40 years old is still out here putting up MVP level numbers. And I don't think we'll ever see a player that athletically gifted probably ever on the face of the planet. But for him to do that, y'all know what he had to do. He had to stay ready. So he ain't had to get ready. Bench Mob, we out. Peace.
Peace.